Hello, everybody. Oh, everyone's here early. This is fantastic. Hi, Kendra. I'm just going to unmute you here because everyone's muted when they first come in. There we go. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly fine.
Perfect.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Amazing.
Perfect.
Hi, queens.
Hi.
Beautiful souls.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thank you again for this incredible opportunity.
I know. I'm so excited to collide our energies together and make some magic today.
Yes, and the energy today is like, I don't even know what to call it, to be completely honest. It's I got my period yesterday, and normally when that happens for me lately, I've just been like, everybody leave me alone.
Yeah.
But
you're being exiled.
Yeah, exactly. But the last couple of months and like yesterday, it's like this deep like crone sensation. I'm just really welcoming it and just completely surrendering to what's happening here. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully gifting some of what's happening in this to all of you, because
Amazing.
I was also crying all morning, just like, oh, I'm gonna cry. I'm just really emotional, just in deep gratitude for just so many things. This being one of them, of what it is to be here and speaking in service with these souls that many of you, I'm sure, have never met in real life, but here we are connected at this very moment. How I could go on.
I love that so much. I feel like I'm on the verge of getting my period. I mean, we talked about this the other day. And so I woke up this morning like super agitated and like really crunchy. I'm like, oh, all right. So that part just wants some love and wants some attention. And let's just let it be crunchy for the first, half an hour of being awake. Like,
absolutely.
Just what life is going to be today. So, and then just put on some music and I danced around and I'm like, all right, now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to be here. And I'm also very excited to be back because when I looked at my notes of the last time we did one, it was 2 months ago. And I mean, a lot has shifted and changed in 2 months, as life does. But it's just been a wild, like container of transformation for me. So it's really wonderful to be back and, want to be here. I know that sounds like really silly, but it is one of those things, like when life changes and things transform, like my capacity shifts and I really have to reevaluate what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And so I always want to be here for the right reasons and be here truly in service, not out of a space of obligation or have any like resentment creep in. So it's so important to take those times and pockets when things are tender, which obviously we're going to talk about today in the sermon, but I'm just so excited to be back and to have you back as my first guest facilitator. Feels so perfect and so nourishing. And I'm super stoked. And if this is anyone's first time here, welcome. Hi, we love you. We're so happy that you're here. And just to give you a little bit of context as to what's going to happen today, just so that you can relax and take it in. We are going to pass it off to Kendra in just a few minutes, and she's going to lead us through a meditation. So, get comfy, do whatever feels good in your body to do. Anytime throughout the service, if you need to get up, you need to move, you need to stretch, you need to, tend to your vessel in any way, shape, or form, that is totally appropriate. And we highly encourage you attuning to your body and your needs. And you don't have to sit still. It's not like regular church where you have to sit still and be quiet. If you need to make sounds, because everyone's muted, so you're good. Like if you need to like make weird sounds or like do some breath work or move your body, that's totally appropriate and it's very welcome. And after the meditation, then we're going to put on some music just to move and alchemize what has gotten stirred up in the meditation, just to let it ground into your cells. And during the movement, don't worry, it's not like a dance class. Although if you want to make it a dance class, go for it. That is always encouraged. But however your body wants to move. If your body doesn't want to move, that's cool. And just listen to your body and just take in the music. The song that I picked for today, my dance teacher, she picked this for one of our classes, like one of our first classes back after quarantine. And it's about loving yourself. So I thought it was a perfect song for us to come back to. So if you just want to take it in and listen to the lyrics, that's great. If you want to stretch, if you want to roll out your neck, if you want to get up and full out have a dance party, great. That's probably what I'll be doing. And then after we move and we settle that energy in, then I'll go into the sermon, probably jam for about 20 minutes, and then we'll end with a prayer vortex. And then we'll be done right at 12. So that's the framework for today, in case you are new or it's just helpful to have that framework. And I think we're ready to go because it's 11:05. Let's get started. Kendra, do you feel good about starting?
I feel so good about starting.
Okay.
I'm like bursting. I'm gonna fully cry, and I encourage everybody before I begin to really allow what's coming through. Please do your best not to make sense of it and just feel what this truth is. That's just my encouragement and my invitation for you. So with that being said, all of you beautiful souls, please just sit comfortably, however is being called to you in your vessel. And take a really deep, nurturing breath in. And I'm going to first start with a little bit of a breathing exercise. This is something that I do as a practice to calm any anxiety, or just to really welcome in the really deepening sensation of being in my body. So we're first going to take a deep breath to the sides. I don't know if you can see my hands, but if you placed your hands on the side of your rib cage, just sort of underneath your boobs, breathe in so that your rib cage expands to the side as deep as you can. Expanding. And then really gently feel your rib cage close back in. It's not a forceful, it's just a natural going back to its place. And we're going to do that again towards the back. I know it's kind of difficult to put our hands in the back, so just imagine breathing your lungs and feeling your back expand. And then we're going to release that as well. We have 2 more rounds. The next one is going to be forward. So feeling into your belly is going to get nice and round and juicy. And we're going to breathe in so our rib cage expands all the way forward. You feel the way all the way up to your collarbone. You have big, beautiful lungs, and how blessed we are to have this healthy breath. Let's remind ourselves of that. You can relax that. And the last one is going to be a full circle. So sides, back, front, filling up. Breathing deep into the womb as well. And once you're at the bottom of your exhale, just come back to your natural breath. I invite you to remember the nurturing wisdom that is imprinted in your cells and your soul. this grace of your ancestors and your elders. Feel them in yourselves. They are there, they're always there. Whose resilience has gifted you this very moment. Breathe into this place of remembering, this space of knowing. You celebrate the wisdom passed down by nurturing and celebrating your own life. This moment, here, you are allowed. You are allowed to receive pleasure, to pause, to embrace the wind on your naked body, the sound of sighs from your own love, to say no, to say yes. This is nurturing. This body you are blessed with is the greatest gift that your ancestors fought for. By receiving, accepting, and surrendering to all of its wisdom, you are paying homage to their beating hearts. And you are healing what they could not. This is your sacred time to continue their lineage. This work of deep liberation. Only now, this work is done by deeply honoring. It is not aggressive. It is not forceful. It is not shameful or judgmental. It is a graceful listening, a deep nurturing. Breathe into the expansion of this remembering. Compassionately release judgment and replace this with a vision of an elder, a great teacher, a mother, grandmother, earth, their words, their presence. Feel them. Feel their pulse of experience. It has been passed down to you. Allow their messaging to soothe the tender places of self-harm and neglectful talk. Exhale the release of shame. Feel their eyes lovingly guide you back to being. Feel their strength. This strength is you. You are birthed from this strength. This wisdom you feel is here for you always, always. A reminder of your truth, the truth of your resilience, the truth of your beauty. Call upon this sensation, the sacred memories of ancestors, when in need to remember the radiance that you are, the truth that you are radiant. Honor the pulse of the past and heal the pulse of the future by honoring the wisdom of your sacred pulse here, right now. Feel your heart beating. Listen to the breath, this wisdom. Breathe into this moment. Breathe into this intelligence. Remember. Remember where you've come from and the power to continue to evolve where you will go. Each moment is an opportunity to be a sacred moment, a nourishing memory that will gift this remembrance forward. What gifts do you choose to serve? Breathe. Feel. Allow. Nurture. This is the necessary work for us all. Nurture the self to honor our past and to heal the future. Breathe deeply. If you feel called, place your hand on your heart and another on your womb. This vessel of beauty is the greatest radiant gift. By nurturing her, you are celebrating your past. You are honoring your grandmother, your mother, your sisters, your soul family, and the generations to come. You can heal their pain by choosing to nurture yourself now. Take a moment to allow any wisdom and messaging to come through for you. It may be a memory, it may be a song. It's all perfect. Allow the wisdom to be remembered. Take a few moments silence here. I'll bring you back. If you could call upon this wisdom, what would it say? How would you lead? how would you serve? What would you release? It's in you always. I invite you to remember. Take a final deep breath. Slowly open your eyes. And come back slowly as you're ready. Hi. So, I don't know about you ladies. Something that I feel is important to mention here is I recognize that not every person has a beautiful relationship with their past. And I feel it's important to bring this to our attention because we get to create that beautiful relationship now, if that is our reality. And the wisdom is still inside of you of the perceived mistakes that were made, and we have learned, and we get to grow in this lifetime. Thank you for your presence.
Kendra, that was so beautiful. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
I really feel like I'm in my body now after that. And like a couple little tears on the edge of my eyeballs, which is always a good sign of a solid meditation for me. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's so
Absolute
beautiful.
pleasure.
And I will be sharing all of your contact details in the follow-up email tomorrow. So if anyone wants more Kendra, which I highly recommend in your life because she is such a beauty and a miracle and a magical presence in mine. And I'm also very excited that I will get to see her presence in person real soon. She's coming to my city for a while. So I'm very excited. Very excited for that. And I'm just so stoked that everyone here got to experience your brilliance today. So thank you for saying yes and for showing up for us today. It means so much.
Welcome. You're so welcome. I had a lot of that ancestral pull of saying, this is part of what we're doing here.
Oh, it came through. Like I literally have goosebumps. And my apartment is really hot right now, so that's very rare to get goosebumps when it's really warm in here. So thank you. Thank you for listening to that call and that pull. So something happened in my meditation that has never happened before in this service. And what came through was to ask all of you and to pop in the chat window, if you feel comfortable to share, what kind of gets in the way for you in terms of nourishing yourself. And so I want to weave as much as I can into the sermon to serve and really address what might get in the way of you nourishing you. And it could be a thought, it could be a belief, it could be a feeling, anything that you want to share in the chat window. And I'll take a little pop through there before I hop into the sermon, just so that we make it as most relevant as possible today. And what will they think of me? Okay. Feeling unworthy, trusting my instincts, lack of health. Oh, yes. Bring them in.
Here we go.
Here we go. It's like popcorn. I dig it. This is amazing. I feel like I'm on TikTok on a live because their live chat goes so fast and you can't even read it. It's amazing. Okay, let me see. Lack of healthy discipline, shame, judgment, self-worth. a belief that I'm not worthy of the time, right? That other people should come first. Yeah. Toxic family system, self-doubt, not worthy of making myself a priority, that I'm not worth it, that I don't deserve it. The internal messaging that nourishing self is indulgent, more than I deserve. Felt expectations from others, feeling my own assumptions of others' feelings instead of my own feelings. The feeling of being unworthy and that it's not natural to prioritize myself. Procrastination, inertia, shutdown, ruminating thoughts of betrayal and unkindness. Oh, wait, hold on. Reinforcing the belief that I'm unworthy, misplaced priorities. Everyone that I love and that inspires me always seems to be on a pedestal, and I'm never good enough to be in their space. Oof, procrastination and perfectionism are some big ones. All right. Well, it looks like we're all kind of in the same vortex here. This is a really important thing for me to know, that I deserve this time only for myself. Yeah. All right, keep them coming, and I will make sure to scroll through before I start the sermon. But I'm going to move into the movement now. So now that we have, taken a second to really own what's true for us, like already there's an opening, already there's space for more possibility in outing your truth or part of your truth and having it be witnessed and held and respected and loved by a community of amazing human beings. And I think it's also important to notice that a lot of these answers really follow a similar theme. And the underlying theme is I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. I'm not deserving of taking time for nourishment, which I'm glad that we're all kind of on the same page, because that's really the direction that I was pulling from when I wrote the sermon yesterday. So we must have really been tuning into each other. Procrastination, and that if I nourish myself, I need to do it perfectly, right? And fully in every aspect of life. And when I fail myself or don't show up or nourish myself, it's easy to simply drop everything. Yep, that perfectionism lives in me too. And we will definitely address all of this today. So thank you for sharing. Again, if there's more, please pop it in there and we'll be sure to take a look. All right. So, as I said at the start, this song came from one of my favorite humans on the planet. Her name is India, and she does dance alchemy. Kendra, you know her. And she is just a bubble of magic. Like she's unlike anything I've ever experienced before. She's got this massive mane of hair and she just radiates, just constantly radiating. Anytime I've seen her, I'm sure it's not like that all the time. Let's not put her on a pedestal. But when we came into this dance class, she was saying, like, it's really important to listen to the lyrics of this song as though you are saying it to yourself. And, I love that idea of listening to love songs through the lens of I'm singing this to myself, because so much of our world is like professing our undevoted love to someone else. But there are not a lot of songs that, are written in terms of a love song that are about you with you. And so as soon as she said that, I've been going back and listening to a bunch of different love songs with the lens of like, oh, this is singing from me to me. And it's a game changer. You want to talk about like the first step in welcoming more nourishment into our experience. If we start listening to music through a new lens, especially love songs through this lens of this song is for me, like to me, by me, it's me. And we listen to that message of undevoted or like devoted, unconditional, supersonic love that we're pouring into ourselves, instead of being so invested in sending that energy outward. Like, let's send it inward as well. Like, and that's why we get so out of sync, is because our culture is so hyper focused on other, and it's not balanced with landing with self as well. So we need both. Like, we're not poo-pooing other connections. Like, we need those, and we need them really intensely, but we also need the connection to self. So the invitation is to listen to the lyrics of this song. The song is called Ready to Love. So get ready. And again, move the way your body wants to move. This is a great time to tune in. And again, we're going to start, rebooting that relationship to yourself and listening to what your body needs for the next 3 minutes. And however your body wants to move, however it wants to express, let's give ourselves permission to do so and see what happens. See how you feel after. Sound good? Okay. I think my speakers are on. Let's see.
I need trust and devotion, and just showed me out of the dark place I had been, like a ripple on water. You reached me and showed me how to love. I'm so ready to love you, ready to love you. I put my heart on the line. I'm so ready to love you, ready to love you. And I'm gonna make you mine. I will be there in the moment when you call out my name. I will be right there to hold you. I know you'll do the same. I pretended for so long that I was alright, that I would never need somebody. But I found hope in your eyes. You gave me peace of mind, that everything's gonna be alright. I'm so ready to love you, ready to love you. I put my heart on the line. I'm so ready to love you, ready to love you. And I'm gonna make you mine. I will be there in a moment when you call out my name. I will be right there to hold you. I know you'll do the same. Yeah, I'm ready to love. I'm so ready to love. I'm so ready to love. I'm so ready to love you, ready to love you. I put my heart on the line. I'm so ready to love you, ready to love you. And I'm gonna make you mine. I will be there in a moment when you call out my name. I will be right there to hold you. I know you'll do the same. Yeah, I'm ready to love. Yeah, I'm ready to love.
How does that feel, everybody? That song, I love it so much because, when it goes into the chorus, I feel like I'm in a Bridget Jones's movie, where it's like the power sequence where she's like, I don't need a man, and she's like walking down the streets of London. Like, that's the song that would be playing in the background. So every time I hear it, I'm like, yeah, I'm Bridget Jones. Like, I'm in the movie. Like, it's so great. And I also love the lyrical content of that song of, like, I'm so ready to love you. So ready to love you. Like, I deserve trust and devotion. That is literally the first line of the song. And if we listen to it through that lens of singing it me to me, like, I'm essentially like, this is a song that's 1 3-minute mantra of, like, I deserve trust and devotion, and I'm going to give that to myself. Like, I'm so ready to love me. So ready to love me. And like, the way that I've invested my heart with others, I'm going to invest my heart with myself. And let's start there. Let's start there. And because it's such a bubbly song, like all of a sudden we're anchoring more devotion, we're anchoring more presence, we're anchoring more worthiness and more deserving, because it's like such a fun song. We're like, woohoo, like I didn't even realize that there was, programming happening here, and that I was, reconfiguring my entire relational blueprint towards myself and others by listening to this song and just having a good time. And this is why, like, when we're stepping into the space of nourishment, we want to kind of create a more bird's eye view around it. We want to stop thinking inside this small, limited box of what nourishment is, and we want to expand it outward. And when we expand it outward, we can look to things like music to really be one of those strong energies that comes in to help re-anchor more nourishment in the system, especially when we are in really tender or challenging times. Because what I've noticed in myself is during those times, nourishment is the hardest. It's the hardest to take care of myself when I'm not feeling my best, when life is being lifey and throwing all sorts of curveballs my way. It's easier. I don't want it to sound like I am a perfect human, because I am so not, but it is easier to practice nourishment in a holistic capacity when things are going well, when things are good. It is not so easy to do it when things are challenging. So that's where I wanted to really focus today is, when things are a bit challenging, how can we expand the perspective of what nourishment is so that we can get some of that goodness in there, so that you're not left even more depleted when you're already down in the dumps. And 2020 is basically a big fucking dumpster fire. So, we're all in there together. And we really do, if we are going to like anchor in this new divine feminine essence, which is so necessary. And it doesn't matter if you're a man, woman, non-binary, like we are anchoring in the divine feminine here, because it has been really, really out of balance for a long time. Subscribing to the patriarchy, which we all have in some way, shape, or form, has really minimized, if not villainized, the feminine. So we are really disconnected energetically from the feminine energy. And the feminine energy is all about nurturing. So it's not a surprise that everybody has, a block or resistance or this idea that I'm unworthy of nourishment, because the patriarchy has really set all of us up to subscribe to this idea that nourishment is a waste of time, and anything feminine basically is a waste of time. And we need to be productive. We need to be taking action. We need to be moving all the time. I don't know if any of you have ever run a marathon before. I haven't, but I'm going to use this as an example. Someone who runs a marathon, there is inevitably a point where their body can no longer move. They are physically exhausted. And so the patriarchy is essentially saying you need to be able to run a marathon 24/7, 365 days a year, no days off. And so, of course, to be good little humans, we are like, oh, okay, I guess I'll subscribe to this. And I guess I'll maybe let myself have like 6 hours of sleep, and that should be enough. And then we have teachers out there saying like, I don't even sleep. Like, who needs sleep? I don't need to sleep. I like conditioned myself not to sleep, as though that's a good thing. Like, this kind of shit just drives me bonkers. Because again, it's reinforcing this idea that to rest is to be lazy, to rest is to be unproductive, to rest is unnecessary. And that is one of the most false lies, ideas we've been force-fed. And the thing is, it's not a direct conditioning. It's very subtle. And if we look in the company culture, sometimes it's not overtly said that you need to be productive all the time, but the people that are often rewarded are the ones that are self-sacrificing, the ones that will not go home to their families, or they won't sleep, or they'll work around the clock, and they are often promoted or given raises. So there is some reinforcement there, which then feeds the system. And then someone who kind of stands in their sovereignty and is like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Well, they don't kind of progress through the ranks as fast. Now, of course, this is not every company culture, but this is a large majority of company cultures. So they're very, very masculine and more of the dysfunctional shadow masculine, because the healthy integrated masculine understands the importance of rest, but the dysfunctional or shadow masculine does not. And so far, where we've gotten to in the patriarchy is there's a lot of shadow masculine. And so by stepping into rest, and I think the last, or one of the last services we did was on rest. And so nourishment is a close cousin to rest. They go hand in hand. And so when we are giving ourselves permission to rest, nourishment will come a little bit easier, because we're like, oh, this isn't a bad thing. Nourishment is necessary. Like if I'm not fueled properly, like if you want to go on a road trip and you don't put gas in your car, you're not going to get very far. And the higher quality gas that you put in your car, the better mileage you're going to get. So the same is true with nourishment. So the higher quality nourishment we put into our system, our physical vessel, but also we want to take into account our emotional vessel, our mental vessel, our spiritual vessel, and our sexual vessel. And sometimes in the wellness space, there's a lot of focus on like physical nourishment, which is important, of course, like the quality of what we're putting in terms of food, water, and movement of the body is very important. Very, very, very important. But it is not the only thing that's important. Because you could be eating all of the greens and drinking all of the green juice, but if your emotional world is a shit show, if your mind is going off the rails and nonstop, like ticker tape of negative thoughts, which then feed emotions that then we try and suppress, and when we're in that matrix, we're not really spiritually connected. And then that means we're also not connected into our sexual life force energy. So when we look at nourishment through this lens of these 5 different areas, and then we also take that bird's eye view of like, well, maybe just listening to a song that has really empowering lyrical content and letting myself sit and take that in for 3 minutes, what if that was nourishment for the day? And when we look at it like that, and we're listening to something that has empowering, lyrical content, makes you feel good and you want to move your body. So you're moving your body to the music. So we have the physical. Then you have the emotions that song provokes. So we're getting a nice clearing in the emotional body. Then music will always be programming you. So you may as well pick music that is programming something that empowers your mental body. Then because you are available in your system and you're feeling your feelings, you're reprogramming your thoughts, you're moving your body, all of a sudden there is this greater connection to something bigger than yourself. So that might be in your environment. You feel really connected to your plants or the animals in your home, or if God is something that really works for you, you feel connected to God or the universe or the goddess or whatever it is. And then once there is that connection there, then we can safely drop into our sexual energy. And as women, this is like dropping into our womb space and really playing with the magic that is stored there, that again has been villainized for a long time. So if this is foreign to you, well, welcome to the club. this is a normal experience to be having, like, whoa, like me using my sex energy, like won't like, and there's a lot of distorted sex energy in the world right now. So this is why it's important that we take a holistic view of these 5 different areas, because if you're not tending to the other 4, and then we drop into our sexual energy, chances are it can get distorted. It can go dark because we're trying to keep at bay all of those other areas that we're like, I don't want to tend to those parts of me, but I'll just drop into this sexual energy and lead with that. So it's just something to be really mindful of in terms of it's important. It's a crucially important part of your vitality is your sexual energy. And then we also have to, establish a spiritual connection. And again, like that could be like, I have so many plants in my house now. I counted them the other day. There's 20 in my living room. And so part of my spiritual connection or devotion some days is just talking to them, singing to my plants, giving them smooches. And that is my spiritual work for the day. Other times I'm sitting in meditation and I'm connecting to my higher self, or as Kendra walked us through in the meditation today, connecting to my elders, to my guides. And other days it's pulling oracle cards. Like, I don't know if you can see, but like that's my altar back there. And there's like 3 rows of oracle cards in each cubby. So there's a lot to choose from, and I go over and it's like this experience of like, which deck is calling to me today? And I'll pull the deck and I'll pull a card. I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty on point. So great. And other days it's like going for a walk and noticing the beautiful things around me. Like there's so many ways to spiritually connect. And that's, again, like thinking outside of that very limited box. It's so necessary because spirituality to you will mean something unique to you. You don't have to do spirituality like everybody else. This is your permission card, your permission slip to create a unique relationship to your spirituality in a way that feels good to you. So again, we link it into the emotional body. And when we're linked into the emotional body, we are creating a spiritual devotion that feels good to be in. Again, that is going to impact the physical vessel. You're going to start to feel more expansive in your body. You might even notice that you can feel more of your body. Like more of your body is actually accessible to you. You're like, whoa, never noticed I could feel my feet. Or like, ooh, there's some like goosebumps on my left arm. Or like, my neck feels less tense than usual. And so we're more attuned to the physical body. And when we're playing with the emotional body, the physical body, the spiritual body in this capacity, chances are your mental field will be pretty clear and or it will be empowering. So when we are, conditioned in this patriarchy, chances are we all have a pretty fierce inner critic. Because in order to stay hooked into the patriarchy, we have to keep self-monitoring and essentially self-criticizing in order to override our intuition, override our physical needs for nourishment, override our emotional body, override our spiritual connection, override our sexual connection in order to be productive. Because in this culture, being productive and achieving things gets you approval. So when we have approval, we have this, semblance of belonging. And that's really what we're all after. We're all after and we're all looking for, we're all seeking for belonging. We all want to know that we matter. We all want to know that me, just as I am, with all of these complexities, belongs. And so when we're hooked into the patriarchy, we will hustle. We will self-abandon in order to try and get to that end destination. But there's a new way. You don't have to do that anymore. Goody, goody. You can drop in and start playing with the divine feminine, which is more of an embodiment space. It's more taking into account all parts of who you are and making sure that we are attuned and that we're pouring in to all of these very important aspects of who we are, because you are not a robot. You just aren't. You are a human being, and human beings feel things. They emote things. They think things. They sense things. And so when we attune our nourishment needs for all 5 of these areas of life, all of a sudden, we're not so swayed by the hustle. We're not so swayed by the patriarchy, which the patriarchy has been trying to keep that information from you for a long time, because someone who is sovereign in themselves cannot be manipulated. But someone who is not sovereign in themselves can easily be manipulated. And so by reclaiming your nourishment, you're essentially giving 2 middle fingers to the patriarchy, and you're like, not anymore, bucko. Like, it's not happening. I don't subscribe. I'm unsubscribing from this email list. No, thank you. I do not want to be here anymore. And then instead, we're going to sign up for the divine feminine, which respects the divine and sacred masculine. So we're not saying that, forward action, initiation, boundary, structure goes out the window. No. We keep those because those actually create safety for the feminine expression. So we have to start really playing with that dynamic internally in our own personal experience. The structure is, I have a devotion to my nourishment. And then we play with the flow. So the flow of that is like, it's not this super structured self-care routine. It's, I wake up in the morning, I ask my body, what do you need to be nourished today? Then I ask my emotional body, what do you need to be nourished today? Then I ask my mental body, what do you need to be nourished today? Then I ask my spiritual body, what do you need to be nourished today? And then I ask my sexual body, what do you need to be nourished today? Now, here's the really important thing. If your ego is answering, it's going to give you a long, complicated, convoluted list of things to do. So if that happens, be like, oh yeah, that's not it. And ask again. Because when the intuition or the truth answers, it's a very, very, very simple, easy, nourishing thing to do. And it might, like, your physical body might be like, hey, let's just drink a liter of water today. Okay, done. Or it might ask for a certain vegetable or a certain fruit or a certain food or a certain type of movement or a certain bedtime so that you can get some high quality sleep. Your emotional body might say, hey, we need to express a little anger today. Like me this morning. I woke up and I was feeling real crunchy. And so I'm like, fine. All right. Like, anger is here. Like, frustration, irritation is here. And then I'm like, wait, I'm about to get my period, so this is normal. So I had to normalize and validate the experience. I did not make it wrong. And then I just put on music that allowed me to move that through my system while I was straightening my hair and putting on my makeup and getting ready for, this amazing time with all of you today. And so it transmutes that energy through the body. If I had just pushed it down and been like, oh, I shouldn't be having this experience, or I denied it, we probably would not have had much fun here today. It would have been choppy. It would not have flowed. Like, we wouldn't be in sacred sync with each other, but we clearly are, because look at those answers that came through at the start. There's a lot of head nods happening. Like, we are in sync with each other. And then, when it comes to your spiritual practice, like I said already, like, make that unique to you. Like, and let that be diverse. Let it be different, moment to moment, day to day. Like, again, like, those very masculine paradigms are like, you must meditate for 50 minutes every single day. Ugh, gross. No thanks. Like, first of all, I am a woman who has a cycle, and I literally become 4 different women every single month because of that cycle. So when I am really cycle syncing, I can't do the same routine every single day for a month. Otherwise, I am out of sync with my body. I'm out of sync with what it's asking of me. And so I allow my routine to shift given what's going on in my body and my hormones. Really, really important if you have a womb and you have a cycle that you cycle through. And so we can play with different modalities of spirituality, different ways of nurturing that connection, and get creative with it, because that's the divine feminine too. And then when it comes to your mental connection, so the mental body, I find in terms of nourishment, there's two things that are really, really nourishing with the mental body. First is mental dumps. So I will just free write or free talk because some days I don't want to write, depending where I am in my cycle, I just don't want to write. But I want to speak out loud all of the things that are going through my brain. So we have to take it from up here to out here somehow. So we want to either write it out and it doesn't have to make sense. It can be totally nonsensical and just free write. And again, do not monitor yourself here. I know for myself, there's always that part of me like, ooh, don't write that on paper. What if someone sees it? And I'm like, well, I'm going to burn it anyway. So who cares? Like, I'm thinking the thought anyway. So I have to have this dialogue with myself first before I can even pick up the pen to write the thing that I'm thinking about nonstop. And this is especially great if the things that you're thinking are a little nasty, because we're thinking them anyway. And again, like the way that the brain works is a repetitive thought becomes your belief system the more and more you think it. And then we anchor it to emotion, and then it's really in our subconscious programming. So we're not trying to eradicate those thoughts because that's not helpful. We want to honor that they're there. So if you just free write and then literally burn it, make a ritual of it, like have some fun, get playful with it, or rip it up, throw it down the toilet, like burn it, whatever you want to do. Or maybe you want to keep it. I wouldn't recommend that because then you're holding that energy in your space. Also, you could just free flow. I do this in the shower all the time where I'll just have a conversation with myself of all the things that I'm thinking in my head and just get it out. And then I'm also like showering. So like it's being washed down the drain. It's such a wonderful way to mental dump. So that's a really important piece. And then the other part of nourishment for the mental body for me is growth and learning. So we're always being conditioned and, influenced by the world around me or around us. So I just make it a point to take my power back around that, and I choose what goes in here. And if it doesn't feel good, like if I buy a book and I'm like, yeah, I'm so stoked for this book, and then I start reading it and like there's some discord in my body, I'm like, okay, no, we're not going to finish that, at least not right now. We're just going to let that one go and maybe put on this podcast that makes me feel real good. So those are wonderful ways to connect to that energy. And then with the sexual energy, this is really important in terms of exploring your body, your physical vessel, and exploring your pleasure. So if that feels too confronting to have a self-pleasure practice at this point, that's okay. That's normal. And start with just pleasure in general. What does pleasure feel like in your body? Where do you register that in your body? And what is pleasurable to you? What do you desire? And, take it out of the sexual realm at first. And then eventually, as we get more comfortable with that languaging, comfortable with that discovery and that inquiry, then we can move it into the sexual domain. And again, with a self-pleasure practice, the goal is not orgasm. The goal is pleasure and exploration. So just explore your body. What kind of touch feels good? What doesn't feel good? What turns you on? What turns you off? What do you feel is pleasurable? What is not pleasurable? So there's, again, like we go outside of the box and we do like this bird's eye view of like, what does pleasure mean to me today in my body today? Because sometimes my pussy is like, yeah, let's go full tilt. Like, we're just going to self-pleasure for like an hour. I'm like, great. And then other days she's like, nah, let's go outside for a walk. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, you do you. You tell me where we're going. And so my womb space and my pussy has become the compass for my day. And it's directly connected to my heart because I also account for all of these other areas of nourishment. So that's a really important connection to make, like womb to heart to womb, if we have a womb space. So those are really, really important things. Now, there are a couple other elements that I'm going to pop into the replay email tomorrow. Just a couple things to have on your radar around nourishment in times where it's a little challenging. But I really want to honor everyone's time. So we will just hop into the prayer vortex to wrap it up. And those pieces will be in the follow-up email tomorrow. And so keep a lookout for that. It'll also have the replay for you. So if you have never been to a service before and you don't know what a prayer vortex is, that's okay, I'm going to tell you. So basically, I channel a prayer the night before the service, and all you got to do is sit back, relax, take it in. If you want to intend support or just hold someone in the prayer vortex, just pop their name in the chat window or just hold their name in your heart as I go through the prayer. And we'll just give you a second to pop any names in there. All right, Mama, yeah, and awesome. So we will hold all of them. Your inner child, yes, 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 yes. Yes, this is definitely for your inner child, all of you. All right, so get comfy, however that looks. If you want to sit down, if you want to lay down, if you want to stand up, whatever's good for you. If it feels good to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. If that doesn't feel safe, don't do it. Keep them open, whatever works for you, okay? Dear Divine Creator and Creatrix, God and Goddess, the Trinity of True Love, we call to you to meet us with your extraordinary brilliance. Thank you for meeting us here in True Love's union. In times of distress, challenge, and tenderness, I allow myself to be filled up, held, and supported. Even when this means I go against the conditioning of the masses, I know, trust, and embrace the knowing that nourishment is the bedrock of my fulfillment, my vitality, my aliveness, and my divine purpose. I am here to do great things with this life of mine, and honoring my vessel is part of this sacred embodiment. I'm learning it is safe for me to be in my body. I'm learning it is safe for me to feel my feelings. I'm learning it is safe for me to purge my thoughts. I'm learning it is safe for me to connect to my essence. I'm learning it is safe for me to turn on my most sacred of energies. I am gentle with those memories of times and former versions of myself where I denied, avoided, or refused the care, attention, and nourishment I needed. I courageously, moment by moment, day by day, begin to reclaim this holy relationship. I bravely stand for and stand in my worth. I respect my needs and my limits. It is not weak to rest. It is not weak to feel. It is human. It is normal, and I am normal. What is not normal, what is not humane, what is not honoring, is this system that hypnotizes us into temporarily forgetting that our access to our unlimited portal of power resides in our ability to rest when we're tired, nourish when we're depleted, and respect our system's innate wisdom when it signals for our attention. I unsubscribe from any paradigm that tethers me to false practices of self-abandonment, self-rejection, and the dishonoring of my system's very normal needs. I exchange these imposter paradigms for ones of truth, remembrance, and the activation of my soul's brilliant wisdom. This wisdom holds a sacred key to my becoming. This wisdom holds a sacred key to my expansion. This wisdom holds a sacred key to embodying the fullness of my magic here in human form. I accept this wisdom fully and follow in its grace-filled guidance. May every cell of my being remember and honor my inherent needs for nourishment. May every emotion of my being remember and honor my inherent needs for nourishment. May every thought of my being remember and honor my inherent needs for nourishment. May every tether of my connection to the creatrix of all life remember and honor my inherent needs for nourishment. May every ounce of my sacred life force energy remember and honor my inherent needs for nourishment. And so it is. In the name of divine love, thank you and amen. There we go, friends. We did it. We're 4 minutes over. I apologize for anyone who has to go. But thank you for showing up today. It was so magical to be in this sacred space with all of you again. The next Sunday service will be at the end of September. It'll also be in the email, so you can keep an eye out for that. September 27th will be the next one. So pop that in your calendar if that works for you. Again, I will keep you updated in the email. And yeah, no worries about if you didn't get all of the notes down. There's going to be a replay with the video and the audio tomorrow, along with a PDF where I pop in all of the essential notes that I didn't get to today. And then also Kendra's amazing contact information. So thank you again for showing up. I love you all so much, and I look forward to seeing you at the next service and also just on the interwebs or wherever we connect between now and then. Mwah. Love you, friends. Bye.